Okay. Historical review. We've talked a lot about a progress note, getting information from different places, putting in the progress note, getting it out. What if you want to just get a snapshot of your patient when they call in for a problem? Wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to go anywhere but click on that, find that patient's chart, and you have everything in front of you without having to go anywhere else? Our solution to that, we have a couple solutions. We actually have created a review note. It is a progress note template. It's actually a tab in the progress note that is a complete review of that patient. So the review tab, sole function is to review information, and of course there's also the user-defined, which we find very useful. So here's a snapshot of our progress note review tab. I don't know if you can tell at the top, instead of clicking on the note tab, we've clicked on the review tab, and this is just basically a box listing the contents of the last time the patient had medicine changes. The last time we did imaging orders, the last patient instructions, it's all right there. In order to see this information and then go to the creation of my current note, I really don't have to go anywhere. I just click on the note tab. Here is a slide showing the user-defined tab. Let me orient you here a little bit. We're focused on a patient. Their name is blacked out. We're looking at the user-defined tab, up where you can see demographics or medications. And at the bottom of the screen here in the lower right are all your little quick action buttons. And your patient note is actually off the screen also. The entire screen is filled with historical review information about this patient. All of it flowing independently from the prior note or the prior time a template field was used. This is all I need to know about this patient. I know when they're coming in. I know the last time they came in. I know their last complaint. I know the last 5 things I did with regard to their medications. True efficiency. So, progress notes are made of blocks that go different places. You can configure them however you want. And then that's the majority of the working part of the talk. I do want to hit on the point about the investment that we talk about making in this realm. I used to think that, boy, $20,000 per physician, that's the cost of an EMR. At least that was what it was in 1995. And then we talk maybe now it's even more. I used to think that that's too much money to pay, or if you pay it, boy, that's a big investment, tough for most doctors to handle. And it's true. That's why a lot of them don't have an EMR. Then I found out that there's all this implementation you have to do. I used to think that implementing meant you install it. But of course that's not true. Implementation goes way beyond installation. And another reason why I was impressed with Mark yesterday is he talked about this third area, what is green here, what I call post-implementation development. He called it practice transformation. And I think practice transformation is a good way to think of it. It's a very expensive process. It goes on basically forever after you've installed the EMR. And it's something you should plan for. Obviously, we know that you have to plan for the implementation. But once you're implemented and everybody's trained and the system is working, you're really not done. So you need to schedule time and schedule meetings and continue to think, where am I going with this? A simple example of post-implementation development is when a new version comes out. It's almost, in some cases, like a completely new implementation. So, to summarize what we've talked about conceptually is that historical information flows forward in time and into future notes. Results data can flow vertically down and is transposed into notes, whereby it then gets out to the rest of the world. Plan information flows vertically into action items. This is already being made much better in the new system. I'm impressed with the changes they've made in 5.1 and are coming in 5.2. And template fields should build on themselves. Never waste a keystroke that you're putting into the chart. It should never be wasted. It should be used and reused. Some things we didn't cover, and if there are any questions, we can cover some of these. And they're covered, I think they were covered by Patrick yesterday, for instance, the use of field widgets and combinations. Again, I'm focusing on the use of acronyms. I think they're incredible. You can write out a whole paragraph warning a pregnant woman about certain medicines. You could write out that whole paragraph with a couple letters in an acronym. create and use your user-defined screen to push information. That's going to be with bookmarks. Again, practice with it. And then make sure you propagate the user screen definitions to the other users so that they see the benefit of it. We didn't talk much about option boxes and subnotes and how they can be used as their own separate building blocks to the chart. Constructing printout documents, I believe there's a focus segment on that today. That's a big area. Once you learn how to do that, again, practice with it, trial and error, and you're going to create documents that almost look like they were dictated by the doctor, but really they just are built from the building blocks of the template. It's very important to remember how design decisions impact workflow and how maybe your workflow should change based upon the tools of the EMR. Despite this and everything we've talked about and everything I've heard, I think most people are still using 20% of the EMR. This thing is so capable, it's overload almost, but they have to put all these features in here so that people can pick and choose. And I don't really understand yet, I don't conceptually understand how HealthWatcher will integrate into my information flow. I think it's going to change my workflow. It might not change information flow, because if I'm using HealthWatcher, I want to make sure that if I make a change in HealthWatcher that information flows back into my clinical information. I'm going to have to think about all that. And thank you for using at least 20% of your brain to listen to the talk today. Maybe next time we'll talk about it.